What up, y'all? Busting out some 2K12, and normally I do the My Player. Just wasn't in the mood to do any My Player videos. I guess this is a mode that I normally do when I do, you know, just feel like messing around and don't necessarily feel like playing the actual game, like actually out there playing on the court. Just something gives me something to do, and this is the association mode. And when I do association, I normally do like one association where I'm actually playing through the season, and then I do another one where I will take like one of the worst teams in the league and do everything I can to make them a contender. So right now, what you see me doing is basically trying to find, I narrow it down between like 6 teams, and I try to find 6 of like the worst teams. And the teams I was actually thinking about doing was New Jersey, New Orleans, Sacramento, I believe the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Charlotte Bobcats. Those were the teams I thought about dealing with, but and I think Toronto as well. Yeah, Toronto was another one. So I never really cared for the Sacramento Kings because they got a couple players and I don't really. I mean, one DeMarcus Cousins, don't really care for him too much. So it just was like I wanted a team where I could basically just keep like a couple players, and then just gut the rest of the team. And I don't know, there's always something about the Charlotte Bobcats. And they ended up only winning 7 games this season, which is horrendous. And I know my voice is a little raspy. I'm battling the strep throat. So pardon me if I don't sound, my usual self. There's nothing enthusiastic about it. But I ended up picking the Charlotte Bobcats. I just can't get over that name, man, the Bobcats. They need to change that name. And this is a trade I got offered. Like when I play this mode, I just simulate through. I don't play any game modes. I don't play any games, rather. I just simulate through. And, I just trade the players I see, fit to trade away. So, what I'm doing, I just traded DJ Augustine to the Cleveland Cavaliers for a first-round pick. And when I first saw it, I thought it was a first-round pick for this coming offseason, but it's actually the year after. So, I felt kind of silly after I did that. But if Cleveland sucks, the next 2 seasons, then it'll work out. So right now, just going through, trying to see what will be a potential free agent pickup for me at the end of the season. And as you can see, some of these players are pretty good, but a lot of them are the same player, point guards. And I kind of want to keep, Kemba Walker, where he is, and let him develop as our starting point guard. But that doesn't mean I won't pick one of these guys up and use him as trade bait later on. So it's basically you just doing like a GM mode and, making the best deals you can and, clearing up as much cap space as you can, because you never know when you may need that cap space. So I made that deal with Cleveland, so I'm looking right now, scrolling to see how bad they are. You see where I am in the East. Cleveland is definitely underneath me. So that's just me looking, at where they are right now. And like I said before, just basically trying to get, as much out of these players as I do have. And that's what you see me doing. I made that trade for 2013 first round pick. Hopefully that ends up being a good pick. If it doesn't seem like it's going to be a good pick, then I'll use that pick, to trade, for a player that I may need at a specific position. So when you go to this screen here, it's basically, your trade screen, seeing what you can get, and it shows what their trade value is. And as you can see, The only player that has a good trade value is Kemba Walker, but I do not want to touch him. Gerald Henderson is also a pretty good player. I mean, he was asked to do a lot this past season, so he was pretty good. I know better than trade for Carlos Boozer. I don't want any part of that salary. No, thank you. Antoine Jameson, 35. Nah, I don't want any part of that. No, thank you. So, just like I said, I'm going through this, this trade screen, and sometimes, man, they offer you some ridiculous trades, man. They want to get a lot out of it and give you basically nothing in return. They trying to get rid of that Joe Johnson contract. I'm almost glad the Bulls didn't sign him, because they were close to making a move after him. So I did make a trade, Corey Maggette for Dante Jones. That was basically a salary dump for me, and I don't know, maybe they consider that an upgrade for them. I did also pick up a backup point guard because I needed one with Carlos Arroyo, to sign him for the minimum. So I did simulate all the way to the end of the season. See, they projected me to have the 7th pick. And they show you what the percentage is. If you just watch the draft lottery, you know how it goes. If you've never seen it before, this is how it's going. The Rockets, Clippers, Trailblazers, Pistons. Now we're in the top 10. Sixers, Wizards, us, Timberwolves, Kings, Jazz, Cavaliers, Raptors, and the Bucks. Now, if that would have been a 2012 pick, I would have had the 3rd and the 7th pick, which would have been pretty tight. It would have, given us, my rebuilding process. And when I do this, I try to give myself I simulate maybe 5 seasons. And if I don't do I don't do well, then I just resign, or I just tank it and see if they'll fire me. I've yet to get fired. I know you could do it on previous games, so not sure. And this is a look at the whole option. Now, Henderson had a team option. I chose to accept that. Dante Jones had a player option for $2.9 million. He declined. I was happy about that. Matt Carroll, player option. Why? This is why this team is terrible, because they got bad contracts. And the Sagana Jock, he declined it. Thank God. For $7.3 million, he's a fool, because nobody else is going to pay him that money anywhere else. So Chris Paul, he declined his play option with the Clippers. So right now it looks like he's the best player available so far in the free agent market. We'll see. J.R. Smith, I ended up with Chris Paul, so maybe I eventually use him as trade bait and see what I can get for him, because I didn't really plan on getting him, but since I had the cap space, I figured I might as well maybe use him for somebody say Andrew Bynum or Dwight Howard. Come back at y'all, man, with the 2nd season. Later.